Guy Shiraki is one of those 13 Republicans who are trying to, I guess, ultimately take on Josh Shapiro, because that's the way it is, Guy. They've just decided, and he was part of a debate, the first debate last night between most of these folks, and joins us this morning. Guy, thanks for waking up this morning. Debate number one, how'd it go?
Well, good morning, Chris. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm Richard Dawson or Charles Nelson Riley, but probably a little bit of both.
It did feel. I mean, you've been.
Who they are.
You've been in politics a long time, so I know you know these settings. You're typically not the candidate, though. You've probably advised others. That was crowded last night.
Yeah, it was crowded, and I think you saw the beginning of what ultimately is what you just posed, which is who's going to go up against Josh Shapiro, who's going to go up against somebody who's been running for this job his whole life, who has tens of millions of dollars, a giant, rock star bus that he travels across Pennsylvania with, all the while, apparently, while still being Attorney General, although I don't think any of us that live in Philadelphia or the Delaware Valley get the sense that there's much law enforcement going on in Philadelphia. So you're beginning to see the process of who's going to go up against Josh Shapiro. A man's been preparing for this his whole life. Who's going to do what the media has failed to do? Who's going to do what the Democratic Party establishment has failed to do, which is challenge him. Challenge him about his absence on crime. Challenge him about his support for Governor Wolf's mandates. You have to remember, every time we went to court to try and get some of our freedom back, it was Josh Shapiro that defended what Tom Wolf did. So somebody's got to challenge him for that record, and more importantly, offer a different vision, because Josh Shapiro's vision is soft on crime, not a lot of liberty for regular people, and not a lot of people allowed to work with their hands or do any type of manufacturing. I think we offer a stark contrast. Last night was the beginning of that process, and I hope I advance my case.
Guy, I don't. It's probably best, and I think right now, given the state of things, Republicans tearing one another apart are not useful. But the fact of the matter is, and I was sort of opining on this earlier in the show, I mean this: if you don't feel what Pennsylvanians have been living through over the last couple of years in your bones, if you don't feel it and you can't articulate it, I don't think you have any business being on that stage last night.
Look, I agree, and that's why. For those that watched, and if you didn't, PCN will be running it. If not, go to guyforgov.com and you'll be able to see parts of it, and eventually all of it when we get the clip. Look, that's why last night I was the guy, pardon the pun, but I was the guy that used pictures for every answer. I was the guy that talked about the real people I met as I traveled around the state. The fellow running a restaurant in the northern tier, the couple running an auto body shop in northwestern Pennsylvania. I talked about real people because what I learned is, as you and I talked for the last 2 years, I felt what happened firsthand at my chamber. I felt it firsthand in my family, and I felt it now as I go around the state. And those stories that we saw here in Chester County and the Delaware Valley are replicated. If you don't realize how people were harmed, if you don't realize how people feel powerless, how parents felt pushed away from school board meetings, if you don't feel that in your bones, and if you don't understand that that's what needs to be fixed, then you're just running because you enjoy politics and glamour and campaigns. I don't enjoy politics, glamour, and campaigns. I saw what happened the last 2 years, and it needs to be fixed, and that's why I'm on a mission to do it.
Can we be very clear and unequivocal on something? And I think I know your answer. Maybe I don't. I don't think I've asked you this directly, but I've kind of assumed it. If you're the next governor of Pennsylvania, Guy Shiraki, are you prepared to say, no, I will not allow mandates on masks and vaccine requirements, proof of vaccine, and businesses to be closed? I will not allow that. Are you prepared to say that as the next chief executive of Pennsylvania?
Sure. Look, I'm not. I'm running to get rid of the mandates. I'm running to get rid of this idea that government knows all. I'm running to get rid of this idea that one size fits all. The idea of mandating masks, mandating vaccines, ordering people what to do, and somehow making you subject to government punishment is what shook me to my core. It shakes me to my core as a conservative. It shakes me to my core as a parent. It shakes me to my core as somebody who tried to help hundreds of businesses. This idea that government should micromanage every facet of your life anyone who finds comfort in that, I think they're sorely mistaken. Those of us who have been shaken to our core by that, I think, get it. The idea that government can literally tell you who can go where, who can go to work and not. No, the era of mandates and executive orders and government ordering you around has to end. It's been an abject failure. As Benjamin Franklin warned, you trade liberty in order to get safety, and you get neither. We got neither. At the end of the day, our economy was hit harder. Our kids were kept out of school longer, and we're still feeling the effects. There is no way in the world that I'm going to tolerate mandates.
And so to be clear, because I think this matters to people. I know it does, because sometimes the kind of too cute by half answer, not you, but others have kind of given me this, well, I'm not for them, but I'm not going to get in the way of others who want to do them. Let's be very clear. You're governor. You can tell school districts, if you do this to the children, if you go to virtual or you make them wear masks, I will get in the way of your funding. Businesses will not be permitted to, require people to show paperwork to eat here. I mean, are you prepared to go that far as governor, or no?
I'm pausing. So I'm prepared to say the government can't mandate. I don't want the government. I would not permit the government at any level to mandate. In terms of private businesses, that's a tough one. I'm not sure yet. But
I get it. I guess I shouldn't have probably gone that far. If a private business says this is what I want for my business, I get it. I wouldn't expect that you get involved there. But let's say the fact that Philadelphia says you can't go into the Wells Fargo Center without a paperwork and a mask. Would you be interested in getting involved there?
Sure. No, we're done. No government mandates in Pennsylvania. We're not denying services. No, I would not only prohibit the state. I don't want any level of government issuing mandates. No.
Yeah.
No, private businesses there, Chris, the time, maybe you and I can discuss another time, a longer setting, because my two parts of being conservative conflict there. I don't want big mandates. On the other hand, I don't know that I want government telling a private business what to do. So I probably err on the side of letting the business and then let the marketplace. As you're seeing in Philadelphia, people don't want to go to restaurants in Philadelphia because they don't want to have to be subjected to showing their driver's license and their vaccine passport to perfect strangers. But no, the government mandating is wrong. Look, we're watching it right now in the sense of before our eyes. You've posted about it on social media. I've posted about it. We talked about it a bit last night. This is unbelievable. It is 2022, and we're watching schools close down and force kids to go digital. 2 years later, we have learned nothing. The CDC has said we are facing a mental health crisis. As governor, I could not stand by and watch school districts send these kids home again. It's hurting them academically. It's hurting them emotionally. There is no way in the world as governor that I would sit back and let school district after school district send these kids home and subject them to more of this suffering and let them fall behind academically and emotionally. I couldn't sit by and watch that happen.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the distinction, and I'm sorry I made it sound as though I was trapping you into something that I don't agree with either. I wouldn't want the governor of Pennsylvania telling a business that they couldn't make the rules for their business. But I do wonder, when you're talking about Chester County or Bucks County or Montgomery County commissioners saying all businesses within our county must, I assume that's where a governor could get in and stop it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can. You can stop that, and the same thing with with all levels of government. Again, Philadelphia, the Constitution applies in the city of Philadelphia too. The Bill of Rights applies in the city of Philadelphia too.
Isn't it amazing? Can you imagine? I mean, Guy, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're from Philadelphia, but you're a creature of South Philly, the birthplace of American democracy. Can you believe how far we've fallen? Can you imagine what the founders of this country, who gathered there in Independence Hall, would think that you're showing paperwork for a shot to gain access to a restaurant in that town today?
No, it's shocking. I mean, it's we used to tease for years in a much lighter time that how many Philadelphians had never walked down to Independence Hall or taken a tour or seen the Liberty Bell or heard the stories. now it's that it goes far beyond that. It's not that the folks in government may have never seen the Liberty Bell. It's as if the folks working in City Hall and Mayor Kenney have absolutely no idea where they are whatsoever. I mean, if Mayor Kenney looks out his office, he can see Independence Hall, and then to subject us to paperwork and mandates and dictates and limiting freedom and all that has gone on the last 2 years. It is unbelievable. It would be unbelievable. We would be shocked if this was happening on the other side of the planet. That it's happening in the birthplace of liberty and the Constitution is shocking. It goes back to your first question, Chris. If you don't feel that in your bones, you have no business running to be governor of Pennsylvania. You certainly have no business doing the job. If you don't feel how everything has been turned upside down, I don't know where you've been. If this isn't your moment to speak up, I don't know when you will.
Guy Shiraki is with us. Guy for Gov, I should mention, by the way, is his website and his handle on Twitter and other social media, Guy for Gov, where you can get involved, find out more, donate your time or your money. Guy, I guess I'll ask you quickly, again, since it's a Philadelphia issue, this tragic row home fire in Fairmount yesterday killed 12. It turns out that Philadelphia Housing Authority property, 18 people living in the 2 apartments, smoke detector issues. I don't want to go as far as to point fingers and say it's a government issue, but I just kind of opine generally. There's just a lot of death. There's just a lot of death and misery right now in Philadelphia, and crime and problems, and I'm just so beside myself that Philadelphia government's chief concern right now is whether you have taken a medicine and you're wearing a mask,
Yeah, look, I have to tell you, I mean, there's no way as a person or as a parent that doesn't rock you. To think that people were living like that, and to hear that tragedy, and to see the pictures, it's gut wrenching. There is a sense now, and this tragedy, unfortunately, is a piece of it. But there is a sense that almost nothing is working in Philadelphia. The schools are closing. It's not clear that when they're there, the children are learning. It's the murder capital of the nation. It's one of the carjacking capitals of the nation. This goes far and beyond the fact that they don't seem to be able to get their act together in terms of basic governing. And now to see this, that perhaps, unfortunately, the Housing Authority, when nobody was watching, is back to its ways. There was a time where the Philadelphia Housing Authority was an abject disgrace, and then there was a sense that it was turning itself around and running more like a business and being more responsive to the residents and running a good budget. And it appears as though at some point in the last few years that City Council and the DA and other folks that are supposed to watch weren't watching. This is one of those where a horrifically bad thing happens, and maybe it will allow some arm of government at the state or local level to peel back and wonder, are there other situations where people are living in public housing where we as taxpayers are ultimately their landlords, where we entrust government to watch them? If they're living in facilities that are unsafe, if they don't have smoke detectors, if too many people are living in a business or in a home, it's yet something else. And the two things that struck me yesterday, first was the horror, and then seeing the pictures of the children. And then the other was what you said, is just the sense that you just don't feel as though anything in the city of Philadelphia is working right now. And you don't have to be a conservative. You don't have to be a politician. You just have the sense that there's literally nothing that's going right there right now. And I think the sense for me, as I look at running for governor, is this idea that we can just turn a blind eye to Philadelphia, sort of the way Americans look at California and say they're just crazy. We'll ignore them and let them do their California thing. I don't think that Harrisburg can just turn a blind eye anymore to the largest city in the state, to the center of trade and economy and culture, and just say, well, they're goofy there. Let them do what they want, because it's having real consequences. It's impacting our economy, our quality of life, and worse now. So maybe it'll take somebody running for governor to become governor who's from the Delaware Valley, who understands we can't turn a blind eye and just let Philadelphia sink into the abyss.
What's it been since Ed Rendell that we've had representation like that from the Southeast? at the state level? I mean, I guess Jim Cawley as lieutenant governor.
That's
anyway.
right. That's right. Yeah. That's right. My friend Jim Cawley. Yeah. My friend Jim Cawley, who was lieutenant governor, is from Bucks County. It's been a while, but more importantly, I think even Republicans and Democrats had this sense of, beginning to ignore it because Philadelphia was becoming so out of place and out of touch. And that's just a mistake because we've seen the last few years they can't govern themselves. It's no longer just theory. It's no longer just a punchline. Nearly 600 murders, nearly 1,000 carjackings, and now apparently not taking care of the poorest among us either. Again, it seems as though they do absolutely nothing right. And as somebody who grew up there and still goes there and celebrated my son's birthday at a restaurant in Philadelphia pre-January 3rd, but as somebody who did all of that, I just can't sit back and watch. And I believe in local government and self-control, but when local government leads to death and destruction, we just can't turn a blind eye anymore. And we just can't say, well, they're crazy, just let it happen. We can't do that. It's too important to our economy. It's too important to our kids. There's 151,000 students in the Philadelphia Public School District. I fear that the vast majority of them have learned nothing since March of 2020. I fear the vast majority of them have learned virtually nothing. And the next governor is going to have the courage to say that and intervene. And if it requires summer school or tutoring or repeating grades, something has to be done. Of all the things, the one that is the most glaring to me, we can't turn a blind eye and just let those kids go off and wish them the best, because we'll know that the best is not likely to happen.
Guy4Gov.com, and that's the handle on Twitter as well. The primary season is going to roll up, and it's fast. Your timeline now, guys. I mean, we're going to be up on it sooner than later, right?
I started in September, but it's real now. May 17th, the primary, traveling around the state, getting out to see people. But at the end of the day, Christopher, as gloomy as today was, I'm running because it can get better. There are states like Florida and Texas where people actually get up and go to work, kids go to school. There's a roadmap to turn this around, and that's why I'm focused. That's why I'm running. That's why I'm motivated. As you said, I feel it in my core. I know how bad it's been. I know how good it can be, and that's why I get out in the car every day and drive across the state, share that message. So thanks for the opportunity.
Neckerchief next time, Guy. Just a neckerchief, a Charles Nelson Riley neckerchief.
No, well, okay, I'll think of that. There you go. I may do that. I may do that. Or occasionally he did have sort of like the neckerchief and sort of like the sailor's hat.
Maybe a pipe? Maybe a pipe? Huh?
A pipe. That's right. I don't know these candidates, but I like the guy with the pipe. Who knows?
Guy Shiraki, good luck, my friend. Thanks for coming by today.
All right, take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Guy4Gov, one of the 11, 12 panelists on the stage last night. This is Philadelphia's AM 990 The Answer.